Falcon. So unfortunately, summer is gone, autumn is on its way, and it's time to do a summer wrap-up because I might have read a few books over the summer, and it's time to talk to you guys about them. So first of all, just a heads up, I'm not the fastest reader, so I don't really do monthly wrap-ups because there wouldn't be much for you guys really to get your teeth into. So this summer I started by reading The Blade itself. So this is book one in the first law series, and I do plan to bring the rest of the books and some reviews for them to the channel later in the year. So probably look out for before they are hanged towards the end of the year, maybe early next year, The Last Argument of Kings. I love this book. I gave it a very high rating. If you want to check it out, my review is already on the channel. The second book I read this summer was Sharpe's Tiger. So if you saw the review, this came out a couple of months ago on the channel. This was my first Bernard Cornwell book. I own several of them now, and I am planning to read every single Sharpe book, in fact. And the next one, Sharpe's Triumph, will be debuting on the channel in the new year. So really looking forward to getting back to Sharpe. I do rate this book quite highly. You'll have to check the review though. Next, I went on a bit of a crime binge this summer. I've inserted a few crime novels in there because I needed some thrillers, and Agatha Christie actually came recommended by another booktuber. This is kind of the first Poirot, so I thought I would read the Poirot novels in order first and then go and look at Miss Marple and stuff afterwards. So The Mysterious Affair at Styles, it's a good thriller. Poirot is excellent. So that was the next book. After that, I read more. Let's turn it up the right way. Terry Pratchett's More. This is the first Death book. So I've been wanting to get into Discworld for a long time. I was told to start with the Death books. This is Death book number one. So this is where I started. This book is hilarious. If you haven't checked out Discworld, I would recommend it. Terry Pratchett is a bit of a genius, to be fair. I don't know how you make a book funny, but to do it and in as complex a way as he does sometimes, it is really interesting. The next thing I read wasn't this book, but it was the final book in the Broken Empire. So I read The Emperor of Thorns. This is actually King of Thorns because my Emperor of Thorns isn't here. But I really like this trilogy, and I will probably do a series review of this sometime next year. But all the individual book reviews will be on the channel. If they're not already all up, they will be soon. Then I read some short stories. Conan. I went to The Phoenix on the Sword, which is the first kind of full-length Conan story. Comes later in the timeline of Conan when he's already king, but very interesting. Robert E. Howard. It's a style I'm not used to. It is quite pulpy, but not in the way of other pulp books I've read. He builds quite intricate worlds really for a pulp story. So very interesting. Definitely going to read more Conan next year. So I've already planned in a couple more Conan on the channel already. So next was a reread, my first reread of That's a Lie. My first reread of the summer, my second reread of the year. This is Children of Hurun. So I've been reading and rereading Tolkien stuff this year, and this was actually recommended as a reread by Patrick Leo, who I've been discussing Tolkien stuff with over the last couple of months. He's not as keen on Tolkien as I am, but he really loved this, so I thought I'd give it a reread and see, where does it rank in the Middle-earth canon. Really enjoyed this. Thoroughly recommend that you all read Tolkien if you're into fantasy. Children of Hurun. Another short story. Technically not a short story, it isn't actually a novel. I think it comes in paperback form at about 125 pages, but the first full Sherlock Holmes story, A Letter in Scarlet. Really interesting. A book of two halves. I won't spoil it too much. If you see the review, you'll see my thoughts, but I'm definitely going to read some more Sherlock Holmes. I don't know if I'll get to that next 12 months because the TBR is crazy. but definitely within the next 2 years. I went back to The Wheel of Time, The Great Hunt. So this book I rate tremendously, and I think this is much better than Eye of the World. And if anyone was put off with Eye of the World, maybe because of its pacing, maybe because generally its character work or world building maybe wasn't exactly where you wanted it, this book will hit a lot of those notes for you. Reviews going to be up on the channel pretty shortly, I should think, and yeah, it's a banger. Then, so this is actually coming up to the last few weeks or months, I went and read some Jane Austen. I've been kind of wanting to read a kind of a period drama for a while. I really love watching period drama shows and movies. Jane Austen really speaks to me, the kind of the settings and the conversations and everything, and Pride and Prejudice was fantastic. It wasn't what I was expecting, and the first 100 pages was slow, but if you have any kind of interest in those kind of scenarios and settings, you won't be disappointed with Pride and Prejudice. And then The Maltese Falcon, so another crime book. This by Dashiell Hammett, really intriguing book. The story, like a lot of noirs, is very twisty. It leads you on a run around town in San Francisco. The characters are very obtuse, and they stand out almost as wild caricatures of characters, and that really helps because with a plot that's going places and can be a bit scatterbrained, almost like a Poirot novel really in some ways, it helps to have those big characters to kind of keep you grounded. I really enjoyed this, and I think I'll probably check out some more Dashiell Hammett and maybe some Raymond Chandler and some other kind of pulpy crime noir as well. This review also will be up in the autumn on the channel, and a little preview of what I've started reading going into the spooky season. I'm actually going to get the last book in the Farseer trilogy done first, so I'm currently reading Assassin's Quest and enjoying it immensely, and then from there the channel will mostly get into late autumn and early winter. You'll get the reviews for all the books I'm reading during spooky season, so that will be mostly horror and atmospheric thrillers. So if you're into that kind of stuff, please check back in the channel. There's going to be lots of reviews coming, and there's going to be a lot of kind of longer length videos leading into the new year. Cheers.